All right, everybody, we're back for another podcast. Today we have Lauren Herskovic with Moda Group.
Yep.
Let's go. I'm getting much better. I'm getting so much better.
And mine was hard, so
thank you.
Got it.
Thank you. Thank you for coming on to the podcast. I've actually just met you today, so this is it gives me a new challenge of getting to know you, which I kind of like. So we can only go up from here.
Hopefully I won't crash and burn.
I don't think you will. Talk to me. How'd you get into real estate? Was it your calling? Were you doing something else?
I do think it was my calling. I did a lot of something else's before I landed here, which I think is probably a common occurrence for most people. Immediately before this, I was the COO of a consulting company. It was very small when I started. It was a startup. We, over 7 years, built it from 3 people to 100. So it was a lot of work, and we had offices in the US and in China, and it just sucked the soul right out of me. And, I always say that was my moment to shine, because I had worked from home for 10 years in a job that never ended. I was working all day and all night. So it was just not the right place for me, but I didn't realize it. And then one day I woke up and I was like, I had wanted to get into real estate. Now, I had bought a condo. After I closed, I kept going to open houses like a weirdo just because I missed that experience. And I was like, maybe I should get into this. But I was sort of waiting for the right moment for the old business to sell so I could have money to live on in that first year when you don't make any money in real estate.
Yeah.
But I just woke up one day and I hit a wall and I was like, I gotta do it. I couldn't do what I was doing anymore. And I'm a very risk averse person, but I was just like, I had hit the wall and I just couldn't stay in that business. So I got my license, and I had originally went to work with my real estate agent because my background was in operations. He was a great agent, but he had always said that he wanted to build systems and a real business. And so I was like, hey, how about I work with you? I build your systems, you mentor me, and then I become an agent. He happened to have been partnered with James Diastis at the time. James and I hit it off, and it just seemed like a better fit. We had the same vision for what we wanted. So he and I partnered. I joined him, and we moved over to Compass. And, I worked as his assistant. I went from being a COO to being someone's assistant for a year because I don't like to do something until I'm really good at it. And I know it, especially something like helping someone spend the most amount of money they'll ever spend.
Yeah. That's reasonable.
Yeah. I was like, I should at least know what I'm doing. Right. So to be able to watch James and to shadow him, and I was like, I don't care what I have to do. I'll do whatever anyone asks me just to learn. Yeah. And I did. And then, a year later, he kicked me out of the nest and said, go be an agent. And so now we've been working together ever since.
That, I really resonate with the idea of helping people figure out their processes. I'm sure you were such a help. I wish I had someone to help me with that initially, because that is I'm a creative.
Right.
At the end of the day, let's just call it what it is. I'm not an operations person, and that to me is it's foreign, but I'm sure that was so helpful to.
I think being an operations person is my superpower, because most people who get into this business, they get into it because they're good at sales, or they're good with people, or they're good with design. They're not operations people. Yeah. And I think it's impossible to scale your business without having operations backgrounds or at least systems set up. So James was very good at the real estate stuff, but he just didn't know how. And I knew he wanted to build systems and he wanted to have that scalability, but he just didn't know how to do it. And that was my contribution. And so we used his experience in real estate. I used my experience in systems. We built all of these systems. And, I think that's part of obviously watching someone who was very good at his job and learning from him gave me, I got everything I needed to jumpstart my career right from the start. But being able to step into this business and already have all those systems set up.
Yeah, 100%.
I was able to, I did more business in my first 2 years than most people, in my first year than most people do in their first 2 or 3, because I could scale so quickly.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah,
and
awesome.
That goes back to your idea of you didn't rush into it. You watched and made sure you were ready to do it, and then you attacked, and then you were like, now I'm ready to go.
Yeah, and I don't say this, I say this in the least judgmental way possible. I think a lot of people who get into this business and are like, I'm going to go on my own right from the start and not join a team or not be mentored. I think it's an ego-driven thing, which I totally get. Like if you're coming out of corporate America, you're like, I want to be my own boss. Like I get it.
Yeah.
But you take this real estate exam, it teaches you nothing about being a real estate agent. It teaches you how to measure an acre, which none of us have to do. We live in a city. The acres have been measured. It does not teach you how to be an agent. So to then go and be like, I'm going to do this by myself and have no guidance, like you're just, I get why you do it, but you're stifling your own growth. Yeah. And so joining a team and being able to learn from someone, even just being able to shadow somebody is huge. And maybe you think that's you taking a step back and you're working for somebody, but you're not, because there's just no way. And especially at Compass, for example, like you can learn from literally the best in the industry. Like, why wouldn't you? Why would you go on your own? It just, for me, it seems short-sighted.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. Just even hearing you talk about it, I just see the value.
Yeah. Like, and maybe I could have done better in my first year, but that year that I was James's assistant, he paid me a salary. Most people make no money in their first year of business. And even though that salary was
small,
quite a bit lower than what I was used to. It was what I needed to I was getting paid to learn. And that's like, who gets to do that?
100%. That when we started the business, I can't tell you, because we came from agencies and working with some of the bigger ones. And then we were off on our own and it was like, oh,
what?
Oh, okay. But
the first week you're like, oh, I get to do whatever I want. And then you're like, what do I do?
Yeah, shit. What? Yeah,
right.
I get to do everything I want. What does that even mean?
Right. And then you sit there, especially when you're your own boss. I think the biggest problem with being your own boss is like, if you're not doing something, you feel like you should be. So then you just fill that time with things that just burn you out.
Yep.
Instead of like having someone sort of guide you. And obviously in real estate, there's a billion different ways you can do this job, and there's different ways you can make money, and there's different ways, like there's no one path. And I think for me as a type A planner, that was like very overwhelming.
Yeah.
So there's a million ways to do it, but to have someone at least guide you and get you on the right path, and then you sort of figure yourself out along the way, it's helpful. Otherwise you're just spinning your wheels.
What since you're like, I'm type A, I'm a little bit more structured. How did the other side of the business come to, like, figuring out how to be a little more personable? Like, talking to you, you're great. But like, but I am sure initially maybe that wasn't like your strong point. How'd you navigate that?
I think the problem for me, like my hurdle that I was trying to get over is just like, how do you speak smartly about something that you're literally just starting? Like, how can I convince someone that I'm the person to help them buy a home if I've never helped someone buy a home?
Right.
So like the connecting with people, that's always something I've just been good at. I was doing sales before. So, and I was a fat kid, so personality was like all I had. So that wasn't the problem. It was just, how do I convince people to work with me when there's 17,000 other people literally that they could work with? And so for me, what I did, that was why shadowing James, watching him, listening to him on calls with clients, watching him sell homes, I could hear the words. I was learning every day. I was going to his inspections and listening to what the inspector said. So the more I learned, the more confident I felt to have conversations with people, because you got to fake it till you make it a little bit in the beginning.
Totally.
And I was faking it. So I was like, I wanted to learn as much as I could. So it felt more authentic, because I don't want to dupe someone into thinking like, oh, I got you, now I have no idea what I'm doing. I just wanted to actually know what I was doing. So it was learning the market, learning the city, learning about homes, because real estate is glamorous in many ways, but I was at this house last week with a tiny little shovel chipping away at ice, so people could walk. It's like there's a lot of not glamorous stuff that happens, and like learning about water damage and like brick maintenance. Like that's not exciting, but it does make you way better at your job. And so I wanted to learn all that so I could be better.
It sounds like just immersing yourself within real estate and all the little the little details is really what like propelled you to feel more comfortable talking and feeling like an expert.
Yeah. And real estate, every deal is different, and you will always learn something new in every deal. So there's no way you can't know everything before you start, but it's shadowing someone and seeing what they go through. Then if it ever happens to you, you're like, you just learn faster when you can watch other people and immerse yourself in, like I was doing open houses for James, but for everybody, because it was like, I want to learn every neighborhood. I want to learn every building, and you naturally get better the more you do it. But like before I started. That's why I wanted that year of being mentored, because I wanted to at least have a baseline before I was taking my first client out.
So with your team, like you're part of James's team at this point, what's it like working with him and the team that you guys have built? Like give me more insight. Like what's that like working with you guys?
We're so fun.
We're really cool.
We're awesome. Our whole thing is we take our jobs really seriously, but we do not take ourselves seriously. And that is important because I don't want to be stuffy. I was at a broker's open last night, and the person hosting it, who I really like, he's on a team where they're very much like dress professionally, wear a dress, wear a suit all the time. And I understand that, but that's not me. And it's not authentic to me. Like my clients, if I show up at showings in a leggings and a sweatshirt, they are okay with that because that's just who I am. And they know that I'm still very good at my job and I'm still very professional. So I definitely take my job seriously. And that's how our whole team is. Like we have a really good time together. We love working together. And with us, like I am my own agent and I serve my own clients, but I always bring other people from the team in because especially in this market, everyone only shows properties between 11 a.m. and 2 p.m. on Saturday and Sunday, and you can only be in one place at one time. But we're very interchangeable because we have such a strong culture. We are all very similar in terms of like the way we approach the business, the way we approach our clients. So if I'm not there, but Julia steps in for me or James steps in for me, it's the same experience.
Yeah.
They're going to get with any one of us. And they really do feel attached to the team.
That's awesome. It feels like talking to you and, I've gotten to talk to James. Like the synergy that you guys have built is really outstanding, which if I was a buyer or a seller, that'd be something that I would gravitate to. Like a team that like feels like one cohesive thing moving in the same direction.
Yeah. And we just we're all very passionate about the same things. Like we're passionate about servicing our clients and hospitality. James is really big. He coined the term hospitality. That's our thing, where it's just like, it's not just, we want our clients to enjoy this process. And so we all sort of exude that. And I just think when you want to be with people that bring you joy, whether it's in a work capacity or whatever. And I feel like if you watch us together, you can see that we all enjoy each other and you kind of just want to be a part of it. And like my clients, I think we're a very relationship-based business. That's how we approach it. And granted, I've only been in this business for, I guess, going on 6 years. So over time, maybe it won't be possible to maintain this level of connection to all of my clients. But I genuinely like most of them, and we genuinely stay connected when we're done. I went out for drinks with my client last night. It's just, that's what it is. It's not just work for us. We stay connected with people.
That's awesome. I love that. That's that's a foundational piece to even how we see business, right? It's about the personal touch. It's about getting to know them. We're serious about what we do, but at the same time, I keep hearing, or I heard the idea of authenticity, and that really sticks in my mind. And for several reasons, in being creative and doing this, you have a lot of leeway with even dress and all that. And where's the fine line of still being me, still showing up professional, but also being authentic to me and who I am. So that really resonates.
Well, and
it's hard to navigate sometimes.
Yeah. And it's when you start your own business, you look at what everyone's done before you and you're like, oh, I got to do that. And I got to do that. And I got to do that. And then you realize oh, that is so not me. Yeah. Right. And I think people work with people that they like. Yeah. There was a study done, and I don't remember all the numbers of it, but basically when they were asking people, why did you choose your agent? It wasn't their neighborhood knowledge or their knowledge of homes. It was just I like them and I trust them. Yeah. And that's how I approach business, people that I want to work with. I hired my accountant because I like her. It's you just want to be around people that you like. So I think it is all about authenticity. My clients like to hang out with me. Yeah. And so they're going to keep working with me.
Yeah.
And that's what a great job to have. I just get to hang out with people that like to hang out with me. Great.
Sure. Yeah. Then we're done. Cool and vibe.
Yeah.
I love that. So I kind of want to morph into another part of the conversation and kind of talk more about 1625 West Winona, which we're at right now.
Isn't she beautiful?
She's awesome. We've been here all day shooting content, getting social, taking photos. But kind of talk to me more about what to you makes the spot unique and what's, something that stands out for a buyer, right?
So I am a sucker for a vintage home in Chicago. I love old Chicago architecture. And so I love that this is a 1920s build. So the outside is still beautiful old brick. But you still have like traditional elements in here, but it's got the totally modern layout that works for today.
A yin and yang, a balance of it really well.
I just think it's a gorgeous home. It's huge. And I live in a deconverted, I have a 2-flat. This is a deconverted 2-flat. So I just love like the look of them, and they're just built so well. I love the deep window wells. There's just a lot about it, but it's also, she did a really beautiful job with the renovation, especially on this floor where it's completely wide open. So for families or whoever's going to live here to be able to see everything and just be at the center of the home. But my favorite thing, the location of this house is nuts. I mean, you are walkable to Hop Leaf, which is like one of the best restaurants in Chicago.
Yep.
And the Chicago Magic Lounge, which is my favorite place.
Yeah.
So and it's so walkable. The street's so cute. And I think this specific part of Andersonville, because you're right on the edge of Ravenswood, you are by two of the best neighborhoods in the city. So you're not, a lot of Andersonville is pretty far east. I like that we're more centrally located because it's just easier to get to so many places from here.
Yeah, I'm really close to Ashland. That takes you everywhere.
Yeah, and there's like a great metro stop right here to get you. If you have to go downtown for work, you just hop right on.
Yep. Yeah, no, I was saying this. I live in this neighborhood. This is my neighborhood. I love Andersonville, Ravenswood. I love Lincoln Square. I think that as far as restaurants and just like vibe, I think is really underrated. Oh, to be honest.
I think people are starting to see it though. Like once COVID hit and people were really starting to be willing to move further north.
Yeah.
I mean, look what happened to property values up here. It went absolutely bonkers.
Yeah. Yeah, my rent went up.
Sorry. Although everyone's rent went up, and that's why you should buy.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Right. Like I said, soon.
Yeah,
soon.
I mean, it's crazy, and I think it's only going to get worse because we don't have laws that protect tenants here in terms of how much a landlord can raise their rent.
Yeah.
Like I have tenants that live above me in my 2-flat, and I just like them and I want them to stay. So I'm like, I was like, I have to raise the rent because my taxes went up, but like, please don't leave.
Yeah,
I just really like you.
Yeah, I like you as people, and you don't destroy everything.
Right, and you take very good care of my home. So
yeah, that's awesome. What are some other things about this place that you might, that on first glance you might just not know about? Obviously, the front, the old vintage, and the kind of the play between modern and classic. What's something else?
Well, she added this massive addition off the back of the house. She added about 15 by 20 feet on each floor. So, and in these old vintages, one of the worst things about them is that it seemed like back in the day in 1920, people had one shirt. So the closets are tiny. She added this insanely huge primary room closet that literally you could put like a couch in there. It's huge. So that's a really big thing because when you've got two people sharing one closet, oftentimes when I look at homes, I see that one partner's clothes are in the primary and one's partner's clothes are in a different room. So now everything can fit in one place.
Yeah, that's mine.
So that's awesome. I also love the vintage, like on these homes, I love the way the vintage bump outs are with the windows. You get really great natural light, especially in that second bedroom upstairs. So you've got really good bedroom sizes. Plus you've got 2 downstairs. So like it's a great home for people who either both people work from home or you've got one who's working from home full-time, one part-time, because you've got room for guest room, office, parents, kids, whoever. There's 6 bedrooms here, like a lot of options for space.
A ton. And even a growing family.
Yeah.
Like you can definitely grow into this.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I think it would take a lot to grow into this. Yeah. It's a great block too. And I don't know. What else? The garage, I mean, this is a small thing, but I think a lot of people need storage. We just have a lot of stuff. So the garage also offers a great opportunity for storage.
What do you think is some of the benefits of using a stager, like to stage this place? I was walking in and this place feels while it's so spacious, feels so warm, feels so cozy.
I know.
And it feels like, I could live here. So,
yeah. It's like, also because like a lot of new construction homes are about the same square footage of this, but they feel less homey to me. They just feel kind of like cold.
Yeah.
Staging definitely helps warm up the space. I think it makes people connect with homes, especially, if you're buying a home to live in, most of it is gut.
Yeah.
Before it is a rational thought. You're just like, I love this house, whatever it costs, I will do it. Especially in the market that we're in where there's no homes. So people are like, I'll give you 200 grand over ask. So to have a home that is staged with furniture where people can walk in and be like, oh, I can like literally see myself living here. Like I can feel it. I can see myself sitting by that fire on that couch under that blanket. It just really helps make the space feel real.
Yeah.
But also like bedrooms feel smaller when they're empty. Spaces feel smaller when they're empty. It's just really hard and to envision what it could be. So to give people a little bit of a palette, like a teaser of what this could be.
No.
Because I see photos. I just looked the other day. There's like a listing that is similarly priced to this. It's a big house and they didn't stage it. And I'm like, what are you doing?
Yeah,
like,
you're missing out.
Right. Because people can't feel it.
Yeah.
It feels cold and it feels empty. And then also, if your house is empty, you're going to find every imperfection in that house, every scratch in the floor, every ding in the wall. So give people the vision for the bigger picture. That's what this does.
Yeah, we do a ton of property tour listings, and I can't tell you how many are like, they're just empty, and then we're digitally staging.
Yeah.
Which like doesn't really look real.
I think at a certain price point, virtual staging makes sense because if you're selling like a lower priced home,
sure,
to spend 10 grand doesn't make sense. But if you're selling a home like this, of this size, you've got to put furniture in it. It echoes otherwise. It doesn't feel good to be walking through it.
And tell me if I'm wrong, I sometimes even feel like the over modern vibe of some places give me an overall cold, just like it's.
I agree. I don't love super modern design. That's a personal thing.
Yeah, but it might be personal to me too. But
still, even if you have an over modern house, put a rug down and a table. Like you can still to warm it up. Like because super modern design can look really cool with like mid-century modern furniture, which could appeal to the super modern buyer, but also a more transitional buyer.
Yeah.
So I just think, and it just doesn't feel homey. And I get it. Like some people are just like refusing to spend the money, but you know what we learned from Haven, which they did this staging and they did an incredible job.
Shout out Haven.
Go Haven. Homes sell faster and for more money when they're staged. So it's like it's an investment that you are going to get back. Like the ROI is high on staging.
Yeah, and if the property moves quicker, what are we talking about?
Yeah,
you know?
Or just like the other thing is like you don't have to stage the whole house. Like I have a listing 100%. Right now. We used Haven as well, and we ended up staging the whole property. But my focus was the living room was slightly like hard to envision if you didn't have furniture, like how you could lay it out because it wasn't a perfect square. So I was like, well, let's at least stage this space so people can see that yes, you can fit like a big couch here and all these things.
Yeah. That's something Haven does so well is even like spots that you might not think.
Yeah, they fill them.
Yeah, that can work, and then they'll use something that like, oh, that's a really interesting way to use this maybe weird shaped room or whatever it is, you know what I mean?
Which you might not as the buyer even know what to do with it, but now you do.
Yep.
And I think one of the biggest things that we've learned, millennials, I am one of them. It's hard to tell, but I'm an old millennial.
Rock on.
We grew up in the Instagram HGTV generation where everything is done to the nines. So we do not have a vision. Like if we walk into an empty space, we cannot figure out what that space could be. Yeah. Obviously a generalization, but for the most part. So staging it to give people that vision, they will buy it a lot faster if they know what they can do with it. That's why turnkey properties are selling really fast, but things that need work don't, because we're just like, oh, I don't know how to change granite. You know, it's just,
I don't know how to fix anything.
No.
That's why I got Memo.
Yeah, I have a handyman that I love. And he said to me, he's like, Lauren, you should really learn how to do these things yourself and save money. And I was like, but don't you want to make money?
Yeah,
like don't try to outsource your job to me. I don't have time to do that.
This doesn't feel right.
No, I do not want to hammer into my wall. I will break something. I just think you should just come over.
So talking about kind of the millennial, what are some of the things you're doing with social media to kind of reach that demographic and even the Gen Zers? Because I feel like they're consuming houses differently, or I mean, if they're purchasing them, which is another conversation, they will. But where do you think their eyeballs are going to be at, and how are you going to reach them?
Oh God, I don't know how to reach Gen Zers. I can barely understand a thing they're saying. But so my approach to social media is the same as it is to everything. It's just like authentically. It's not like a real estate social media. It's Lauren's social media. Okay. And what Lauren does is she sells real estate. So It's just who I am. I'm putting it out there. My clients follow me not because they want to see what houses I'm selling, because they want to see what I'm doing. The same reason I follow them. So my approach is more just like post what I was going to post anyway, maybe with less swear words, because now that my clients are following me.
That's good. That's cool.
And my nieces and nephews.
Yeah. I feel you.
And, and what I like social media for when it comes to business building, but it's just me being authentically on social media, is I get to see what my clients are doing and I can stay in touch with them. And, they're having kids, they're graduating from grad school, they're getting new jobs. Like, I just want to be able to interact with them and stay in front of them and stay connected to them. So that's my approach. I don't know what platform Gen Z is on. I'm pretty sure they're all on TikTok.
TikTok or Snap.
I mean,
which
Snap,
is another world.
I tried to use once just because my brother wanted me to do that thing where I make myself look like a guy and he makes himself look like a girl and we see if we look the same. But Snap was very hard to use for me. I could not figure it out.
Yeah.
I'm a consumer on TikTok. I've tried to make TikToks, but it's just like, I personally, as a millennial, am on Instagram. So that's where I'm spending my time.
Yeah.
But I think the way, like, my staying in touch with my clients through social media, but also just like texting and hanging out with them, they are staying in touch with me. So I'm top of mind. And then they're just referring me their friends and they're referring me their family and people. And that's how, just like as a ancillary byproduct of social media, that's how social media is sort of working for me.
Yeah.
I don't understand the algorithms. I made one random reel that I was supposed to be for my friends that went viral and got 50,000 views.
Awesome.
But then
That's great numbers.
Right. But it was it was not about real estate. But that's the thing. I just don't know what works and what doesn't. So I'm just going to post stuff. And then if it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't.
So that's something that can happen too. That you can grow your following in a way that like isn't conducive to your business and like having,
or totally random.
Yeah. Where it's like random and then, then they come to you for a specific thing and you're not going to give it to them because you're a real estate agent. Or well, you know what I mean? Like,
right. Or if they come to me through some other means, fine. But if you see that I sell real estate and you think I look like I'm good at it, then call me.
Yeah. I mean, that's the hope of that.
Yeah.
But I think for us, and I kind of mentioned it, is that we think that like really education is the way to start it. And through the educating of clients, of people, your authenticity shines through because you are who you are. Like you don't have to be a robot that just spits out knowledge. Like there are too many creative ways and too many simple ways to like still get your point across about a neighborhood, a coffee shop, whatever it is.
Right. And I don't want to if I was in the beginning, I was like overthinking. I was like, oh, you have to make a reel about earnest money. And it's like, but I never wanted to do that. And then I didn't do that. And then I didn't post. And so I was just like, just post what you want to post and people are going to follow you or they're not.
I think there's a time and place for some of that. Like, sure. But if that's not you
right.
And at the end of the day, I think the biggest things with social media is like, who are you? What do you do? And where can they find you? And if you start with those simple things and you use that as your true north, like it's like we're not doing brain surgery here.
Right. And maybe not every business, but in real estate, it's like people are they're going to work with you because they like you. So you got to be completely authentic on Instagram or on social media or whatever you're doing, because you don't want, I don't want to hide who I am. And then suddenly we're working together in this very intense thing where we're trying to find you a house and we're spending all this time together and you don't like me, you know, because if you have to, in this business especially, and in this market especially, you have to trust your agent, because I'm going to ask you to write an offer within 3 minutes of seeing something and probably write it for over asking right now because there's 10 other offers. And you're going to have to come with me on that journey and you're going to have to trust me because I know what it takes to get it done. But if you don't like and trust me, you're not going to listen to me and we're not going to get it done. So for me, it's like really, really important that people like me.
Yeah.
Because if they like me, they're going to be more apt to trust me.
Totally.
And I know that I know what I'm doing. So I need them to just come along with me and just listen to what I say.
Take my hand.
Yeah. Listen to me when I tell you to stage. Okay.
Yeah. Please. Yes. Haven Home Staging.
Yeah,
I love that. I think, getting to talk to you guys, both of you, James and you, like just the way you guys see business, the way you see social media, the way you handle yourselves, like I've really enjoyed it. So thank you for being here, and it's been cool.
Yeah, when you're ready to buy a house. Or sorry, what do the Gen Zers do? This for phones?
Yeah, no, I'm not Gen Z, so don't worry. I still do this.
You're still doing this?
Yeah.
Okay.
But I think at this point, shameless plug time.
Ooh.
Tell everybody where they can find you, who you are, and all the fun things. If you want to use that camera,
I am Lauren Herskovic with the Moda Group at Compass, based out of our Lincoln Park office. And you can find me, I'm kind of everywhere, but the most place I hang out is on Instagram, and it's at Lauren Loves Chicago. So come find me.
Beautiful. So that's another episode of the Reup Productions podcast. I want to thank Haven Home Staging for sponsoring this episode.
And for giving us these chairs to sit on.
Yeah, and these chairs and all the beautiful staging equipment. Lauren, thank you so much for talking to me, and I'll see you guys later.